If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. I post a new Tom Brady video every day.
There's been rumors and rumblings of the friction between Tom Brady and Bruce Arians all offseason. Is there any truth to that, and is that what led to this?
Anytime things seem sudden and strange, there is usually a coup involved.
You know, I think whatever real truth is behind those rumors, I think that those are things that if they were happening behind closed doors, I would think that Tom and Bruce will leave those behind closed doors. And I know Tom has already come out and thanked Bruce and put out a statement this evening on what he's done for him.
Bruce Arians, who never showed any interest in the front office, although he had hinted at retirement, suddenly retires so quickly that the Buccaneers had to rush the staff and rush the players together to tell them, meaning it wasn't really planned, meaning Brady wanted him out.
Taylor, Bruce Arians was also at the NFL annual meeting. I saw him several times. We spoke briefly, saw him out to dinner. He did his press conference. There were no signs in recent days outwardly that the transition was coming. However, there certainly had been rumblings within the leagues dating back to after the Super Bowl, then again after this season, all the transition with Tom Brady initially retiring and then returning to the team. At every step, there was speculation about Bruce Arians' future, but he told our reporters, he told other reporters, he said many times that he fully intended to return.
Tom retires, then unretires. Arians, I'm good here. Then suddenly I'm moving upstairs. Todd Bowles is in. It all is very strange and sudden. Come on now. I think most of you understand how the game works. This was never culturally New England to Tampa was always a weird fit. One is academic, cold weather, Boston, politics, sports, a power broker's town. One, Tampa, Ybor City, cocktails early, a goofy franchise.
My first reaction is that I was surprised that he didn't retire at the end of last season. I thought that was going to happen. Then when he decided to continue to coach and stay, naturally leading us to today, I think at this stage now, if I didn't say I was surprised, I wouldn't be telling the truth, because I thought once he committed, we got through the combine, we're headed towards the draft. I thought he was in at that point.
This is something that had been on Bruce Arians' mind for a while, and part of the reason he felt like this was the right time to transition into a front office role was he wants to give Todd Bowles, his longtime protege, the best opportunity to succeed on a Bucs team that is very much built to win now. Bowles played under Arians at Temple. He coached under Arians in Arizona and in Tampa. Of course, in between there was the New York Jets head coach and got a lot out of a team that wasn't exactly built to win at that time. Now a second opportunity for Todd Bowles with Bruce Arians shocking the football world tonight and announcing he is stepping away from coaching.
I think another thing, and I'm not sure how much of this played into it, but if you saw Bruce Arians, and we were around him on a daily basis, Bruce Arians had an Achilles injury last year. I mean, he was getting golf carted out to practice. I mean, he went through a lot to get through that season, and he's as tough as they come, right? So he was never going to miss anything. But you saw at the end of the year, I mean, he was having trouble walking on and off the field, and you had this feeling of like, gosh, like Bruce is, I mean, he's gutting it out there as much as anyone was out on that field. And I even saw him at the combine, and it was the same thing. He's been battling that injury, and not that that's the reason he steps away, certainly. But, you know, I don't think that this was the easiest job on Bruce, right? It takes a lot out of you. And
now I did talk with him at the combine and asked him about his health, because you remember that's why I left Arizona the first time. And you remember at the end of last year, he was battling a few things, including that torn Achilles tendon. And he said that he said, I can play golf, so I'm good to go. So once I heard that, I didn't really think about it again.
Yeah, it's interesting because he was just quoted just last week at the owners' meetings talking about the season ahead.
One obsessed quarterback, one dysfunctional franchise. Tom went there for more control and better weapons. He got the weapons. He got the Super Bowl. But what Tom never truly got, even in his Super Bowl winning season, was control. And that Arians is a seat of the pants, go with your gut coach. When Arians, and I like Bruce, but when he went to CBS to broadcast, the feeling was, he wasn't overly prepared. He was funny. People liked him. He is a seat-of-the-pants guy, and Brady's not. This was always a weird cultural fit.
Bruce Arians wants to give Todd Bowles a chance. And again, that is part of the reasoning here that Bruce Arians used in his statement for why to walk away now. He wants to give Todd Bowles the best opportunity to succeed. He takes over a Buccaneers team that won the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago, went to the playoffs again last season, and then after the relatively brief retirement saga of Tom Brady is back, perhaps the greatest player of all time in NFL history, to lead that team once again at age 45, Taylor.
It was always a weird fit. Old school Bruce, adapting, evolving, obsessed Tom. And it worked the first year. Folks, we saw this multiple times. I mean, Arians called out Brady. Tom took one for the team. You think Tom liked that? Legends don't like to be called out. They can laugh. They can fall on the sword at the podium. They don't like that. So this has always been a very, very turbulent relationship. And of course it is.
I didn't see that or hear that around the building. And that doesn't mean it didn't happen, right?
I always think Bruce Arians was a perfect fit with Big Ben. Big Ben was not obsessed. Big Ben was a gunslinger. Big Ben is an over-the-top backyard football quarterback. Arians and Big Ben, to me, like, that's a perfect relationship. You know what I think Tom's perfect relationship is? Kyle Shanahan. Obsessed, maniacal, considered the great scheming coach. Remember, as good as McVay is, McVay will acknowledge privately Shanahan's the better scheme guy. Sean is the better culture builder, better in front of the room. And he has built that with the Rams. So, fit matters.
There were times that Bruce Arians criticized Brady, and he would say, that interception was his fault. But Bruce Arians is a really blunt person, and he doesn't sugarcoat much. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I know at times I think there's probably folks on the PR staff that wish he did sugarcoat things some more. And so I think so much got blown out of proportion with that. And, he's criticizing Tom. Well, Tom's a grown man, and I think Tom would be the first person to tell you if he threw a pass that he didn't like.
Tom wanted two things in Tampa. He wanted better weapons and more control. And he got one, and he didn't get the other. Now, Todd Bowles as the coach. I'm going to talk about that in a couple of minutes with Mike Silver. Todd is the kind of coach that will let Brady take the offense. That's very much his personality. Todd's a great defensive coach. He's not power hungry. He is not a formulaic coach where this is the way I do it, my way or the highway. It's not really Todd Bowles' personality. He'll let Tom run the offense. He'll run the defense.
What did TB12 have to do with this change, if anything?
Well, I certainly can see all of my Twitter mentions telling me that this is obviously Tom Brady deciding that Bruce Arians should not be the head coach. I can tell you, while I understand that everybody thinks everything comes down to Brady and the organization, that actually is not the case.
Tom usually is a better fit, easier to get along with.
I was texting with Bruce Arians about this earlier. He said that Brady coming back actually solidified his decision to retire in the sense that, like I was saying before, it leaves the team in very good hands with Todd Bowles.
Bowles, when he was with the Jets, he wasn't much at the podium. He's not much of a personality. He is not a self-promoter. He's just a really driven, humble, grateful, gracious guy who coaches the hell out of defense. Is he a great coach? He's a great coordinator. But I think he and Brady will align better than Bruce and Brady.
It is not the first time we've seen a head coach orchestrate his departure with the timing to make sure the guy he wants gets his job.
Tom is obsessed. I still contend that, and we've had multiple reports to confirm this, including Tom Brady's dad. What did Tom Brady's dad say 2-3 weeks ago? Tom didn't want to retire. There were external forces. Was one of the external forces the power grab? I mean, Tom Brady's dad said there were other things going on. He didn't name names. So, Tom Brady's dad has, to a fault, not for me, but for Tom, to a fault, been honest. He came out. Tom doesn't want to retire.
This was Tom Brady's reaction to the news. Thank you, BA, for all you've done for me and our team. You are an incredible man and coach. It was a privilege to play for you. You are a true NFL legend and pioneer for all the work you've done to make the league more diverse and inclusive.
Brady is too detailed and too planned. to suddenly retire and unretire. That is the most un-Brady move ever. That's just not what he does. I mean, Aaron Rodgers in drama, yeah, that's kind of predictable. Brady not having everything thought out, that's so off-brand.
Bruce Arians, an individual that didn't get his shot until later in his professional career. He was coach of the year in 2 spots, Indianapolis and Arizona. And of course, at the age of 68, won a Super Bowl as head man of the Bucs.
Listen, I think Bowles and Brady will be a better fit. Tom runs the offense. He'll have say in personnel when he can. Absolute control of the game plans, which you watch Tom versus Time. He wanted more control of the game plans. That's well documented. Now he's going to have it.
A lot of people wondered the relationship about Arians and Brady. Like, they would get on each other for sure throughout the season, but they actually do have a really nice relationship, especially off the field. So I don't think that this was an ultimatum by Brady, not something where Arians said, oh, he's back, then I'm out. I think instead this truly was about a succession plan for the Bucs and for Arians moving forward.
And so once Brady won the Super Bowl, the owners probably went, all right, let's weigh the options here. Greatest football quarterback ever, good coach, good guy. We still owe him money on the salary. We'll just move him upstairs. But that's what this is. Now, you're probably going to have agents and you're going to have people come out and say, oh, this is really their best of friends. Oh, stop. We're not idiots here. Sports fans, you follow it, I follow it. This is incredibly easy to spot what happened here. It's not like Bruce and Tom can't walk down the hallway. Arians is still getting his money. They're still going to be in the same building. They're adults. They'll get along fine. This is better for the franchise. It's better for Tom. You know, Bruce Arians has had a heck of an NFL career.
Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe as I post a new Tom Brady video every day.